Everyone has an attachment style. It's the way that you relate to others. Do you tend to be clingy or standoffish? Do you avoid conflict or jump headlong into it? Do you avoid getting too close in relationships? These are all aspects of your attachment style, and they impact not only how you relate to loved ones or friends, but also to God. Attachment science is the study of how we relate to our loved ones. The field started by trying to understand how babies get closeness from their mothers, and then expanded beyond parent-child relationships to understand how couples connect. And most recently, researchers have found that it even helps us understand how we relate to God. Do you continually seek a close emotional connection with God, worrying that you might drift away if you don't try your hardest? Are you someone who prefers to connect with God by learning theology? Do you often feel like you're falling short or that God is repeatedly disappointed in you? The answers to these questions might tell you something about your attachment style. Researchers have found that when it comes to seeking closeness and a connection with others, there's a predictable pattern we can expect. All of us feel insecure at times, and there are three primary ways we tend to deal with it. This pattern forms our attachment style. The anxious attachment style is when you try to prevent feelings of distance from God at all costs. You desperately try to keep close to God. It looks different from person to person, but the common denominator is the constant worry about losing connection with God. It's when you feel that the weight of maintaining the relationship falls squarely on your shoulders. When you practice the anxious attachment style, you worry about drifting, backsliding, or falling away from the faith. If you don't keep the connection, who will? While the devotion is admirable, it's likely that you will never experience the rest and peace of a relationship with God. A shut-down attachment style is a way of relating to God in a way that shuts down our feelings. It seems that our anxiety or sadness means that we don't have faith, and therefore those feelings could get in the way of connecting with God. In this style, feelings are framed as the opposite of faith, and building a framework of theological knowledge is the bedrock to connection with God. Emotions have little room in this way of relating to God, and believing the correct theological facts provides a bypass around grief, worry, or other uncomfortable emotions. If you have a shut-down attachment style, you may feel most comfortable in acts of service, and that can often be a gift to your community. You sign up to set up chairs or mow the lawn and do other helpful things. Doing tasks feels easier than interacting with others in social situations, like Bible study or small group activities. Or you might tend toward analytical thinking that can be helpful in facilitating a robust theology in your faith community. You stuff down your emotions in an attempt to keep a connection with God. However, when you only connect with God through your left brain, you miss out on intimacy with Him. You don't get a chance to experience a connection with a God who wants to step into your emotional world and be with you in your worry or your sadness. A shame-filled attachment style develops when you know God loves you, but you're not sure He likes you. Falling so far below God's standard of perfection, you shame and blame yourself for being so wretched, even though God has chosen to love you. You try to get close to God by proving that you truly know how bad and unlovable you really are, hoping that He will have mercy on you if you beat yourself up enough. Those of us with a shame-filled attachment style often understand in a visceral way the gravity of being human, as well as the magnitude of the connection with the divine. We can create spaces in the church that allow for brokenness and admission of failures, but also we can feel like there's no true way to connect with God so long as we're defective as we feel we are. Jesus' story about the prodigal son in Luke 15:11-32 shows us that we can connect to God without striving, stuffing down our emotions, or berating ourselves. The prodigal son never has to work hard to reach his father. He doesn't have to hide his needy emotions, and he doesn't have to be perfect before he's embraced. His father runs to him while he is still dirty from traveling and shows how delighted he is to see his son. Jesus wants us to relate to God like this kind of father who meets us in our own insecurities. When you understand your attachment style, it can point you down the path to more security and relating to God like He's presented in the story of the prodigal son.